And then I read a couple weeks later. And it was sincere.
My portion
Sure,
to pay for the
I'm-
library is $1,100.
So he's like,
Yeah, I do actually. Once I found that out, I go all the time. I really,
when he found out,
but 1,100, I'm not getting the.
At this time, it's my pleasure to call to order the Oshtemo Township Board meeting for May 14th, 2024. I will begin by asking for remote location identification. I heard from Trustee Kristen Cole that she was having health matters today. John, do we see if Trustee Cole is with us on Zoom? Okay. So we'll check back in on that later. If you see her pop in, just let me know. So at this time, I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I welcome a member of this body to share agenda item number 4, a piece of our township mission, vision, and core values to help center us for this conversation.
Professionalism, commitment to continuous improvement to government operations.
Thank you, Trustee Chapman. At this time, I move to item number 5, which is public comment on non-agenda items. So if we have anyone here in the public today wishing to make a comment that is not on the township agenda, I welcome you to join us at the podium. If you would be so kind as to introduce yourself, and you have 4 minutes.
Okay, my name is Barbara Bassett, and I currently reside at 5280 Green Meadow Road in Leisure Time Condo Association, and here to discuss, obviously, something that's been on our hearts for years and we've been working on for more than 2 years of trying to get the roads speed limit down and road calming speed bumps. We have so many senior citizens and students and children walking up and down the road, and the cars are making a drag strip, especially as they come around the curve and head down towards Canterbury Apartments or even come back. We have had so many, since I've been there, and that's been 7 years, We've had quite a few accidents where they've gone up over the curb, over the berms, hitting trees, damaging the grounds, as well as going into the condo sunrooms. So it's very scary, especially when we have senior citizens trying to cross there to get to recycling. And you have to watch, listen, and hold your breath and run as fast as your little legs can carry you. But it's been something that is, I think, a lot of other neighborhoods are experiencing, like Driftwood and, I'm trying to think of one right next, Sky Ridge, right next to us. Same thing. I walk my dog down those streets, and they just come barreling from Drake Road all the way down to the end and zip around that curb because it just kind of goes around and then hits our road. There needs to be some sort of a solution. As I said, I've tried to slow people down by motioning to slow down. I've even gotten irritated sometimes and hollered at them, and then I have people back up and say, you shouldn't do that, you know, you might get in trouble. And I probably could fear for my safety as well, for somebody who's irritated or road rage, only I would be walking and they would be in the car. So I would just like to urge Oshtemo to cooperate with the County Road Commission and whatever else, and let us know what we have to do to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Is there anyone else here in the public wishing to make comments on a non-agenda item? If you please introduce yourself and let us, and share your thoughts.
My name is Scott Jeffries. I also reside at Leisure Time. I'm at 5152 Green Meadow Road. And I'm also a member of the Planning Commission, and I'm privileged that you allow me to be a part of that. And you've helped me in the past, too, to get educated by taking me to classes and that sort of thing. Thank you. I'm not here as a commissioner from the board, from the Planning Commission. I'm here as a private citizen tonight. You've got in front of you this piece of paper, and I just bring it to talk about master planning in roads. This is the corner, essentially, of Drake and West Main. You can see where the mall is, facing north when you're at the top, and to the left is the prairies. As the prairies developed, or will develop, there's a potential for a major amount of traffic to go into Green Meadow Road, and this drawing is to describe maybe another method that master planning can lay out to not make that a major connector, but maybe just a connector. And if we can find ways to move the traffic across other paths to get to the primary road, the road commission can take care of those people much better than the little neighborhood road can do. So, also would just like to reinforce what Barbara has said. We are bringing this again because many of the commissioners here, the trustees, I'm sorry, haven't had the understanding maybe or heard from us. We have traffic in excess of 1,200 cars a day. We have traffic that has gone a maximum speed of over 50 miles an hour. And this is just a little 25-mile-an-hour residential road. My personal experience, maybe a week or two ago, was a car coming from the west, coming around the corner. And as they came through Green Meadow, they were coming so fast that they hit that corner. I was watching, looking, I was going to the recycle, and I nearly got hit. They had to swerve big time, and it was a scary moment. So I just would like to reinforce what Barbara has been saying and find ways both to move traffic away from Green Meadow, which this is a proposal to help accomplish that in master planning, and to do what's necessary. The engineers know far better than we do how to accomplish these things and remediate the roads. So I would look to people like Anna and Mark. They would know. So I'm just looking for help. There's a problem for sure on Green Meadow and other places. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Scott, and thank you for your service to the township. Do we have anyone else present who wishes to make comments on a non-agenda item? Seeing no further public comments, I will close the public comment session and move to item number 6, public official updates. It's our pleasure today. First up, we have Kalamazoo County Road Commission here to share information with the board about their work and have an opportunity to ask some questions from the township board. So at this time, I would open the podium up to, well, I know you're Mark. I just was like,
I just didn't want you to struggle. Didn't want to
to
leave
the
you on a limb.
representatives of the road commission, first up, Mr. Mark Warden.
Thank you very much, and I apologize for my voice. I'm hoping it's just allergies, which I've heard from a number of people that it's a doozy this year. So if anybody does this, I'll assume that means you're tuning out, Mark. And now if I can get the technology to come up. Great, here we go. IT guy had this worked out perfectly. I'm to press that button again when I'm done, or he's going to cut my finger off, I think is what he said, so. I'll
It
do
doesn't
my
get that rough
darndest.
over here in Oshtemo.
So, thank you for having us here. Do quick introductions. With me tonight is our chair, Tom Brennan, board member Larry Stayhauer, and Michael Boersma, another board member. And also with us is our Assistant General Superintendent, Rusty McLean. And first, I want to say thank you for the partnership with Oshtemo Township. You know, we do have difficulties. We have difficulties with every township. We have to work through them. And I appreciate being invited to work with the township on the thought leaders. I really take that as an honor. I appreciate it very much. And I know Ryan Minkus is appreciative of the involvement on Atlantic, and also more conversation with the engineer, Anna Horner. So thank you for the partnership. And I have to go back in time to asset management, and I think Anna keyed me up to this, kind of going, well, how do we select what roads we're going to do? So asset management is a big initiative in the state of Michigan right now. It's actually written into the law that created road commissions, Public Act 51. So we're required to have an asset management plan on file and reviewed and updated every 3 years. So one of our biggest tools, and I hope everybody loves these maps as much as I do, the Payzer map. We used to actually invite board members to go out with us to rate the conditions of the roads. We now have somebody doing that for us, but if you really want to get on the bus, I think I can make that happen. But I think a few of the board members were done after like 2 hours. It was not as exciting as it seems. But Payzer is how we rate the surface of our roads. Payzer is an acronym. It stands for Pavement and Surface Evaluation Rating. It's a 10-to-1 scale. And this slide in front of you breaks it down a little bit further into 3 categories: good, fair, and poor. A road that's in good or green is greater than 8, 10 to an 8 in the Payzer rating. Fair is a 7 down to a 5, and anything Payzer rated 4 and below is considered poor, or on our map, which I will hand to you when we're done, is in the red category. So this is our windows of opportunity, and it's a deterioration curve for a typical road in Michigan. The green line is that deterioration curve, and it on the left-hand axis, you'll see it starts off at a Payzer 10. Brand new road, nothing wrong with it. And then as we move along the bottom axis, the number of years, its age, it starts to dip down, and it goes through windows of opportunity. The first window is that 10 to 8. That's the good category. We're doing nothing more than crack filling and an occasional pothole. It's routine maintenance. It doesn't even hit, I'll get into the cost next. It's the most cost-effective treatment. The next is our preventive maintenance, or that blue category. This is typically associated with road commission's chip seal program. Chip seal and wedging. We'll put down a little asphalt wedging, and then we'll come back with our chip seal. We've modified that chip seal now to have, I think Dusty's favorite, the really small, the kitty litter chip seal with a fog seal on top. That's come a long ways in the last 8 years. And just below that is that pink line, the CDP. That's our critical distress point. That's where our pavement is starting to show structural distress, where preventive maintenance or routine maintenance will not get us what we need anymore. We now need to add structural improvement to the pavement. So that might be the light yellow, the category from 4 down to 2, is rehabilitation. So that could be a single or a double overlay, 1 or 2 lifts of asphalt. We may do some milling, some base correction, but we're not starting over. That is the reconstruct category that's just below this. That's the Pazer, and I'd tell you even the 2 and the 1, that's where we get into the reconstruct. So where we start over. We'll sometimes pulverize the asphalt pavement that's there, turning it into gravel, improving the base and building up from there. Or sometimes we have to remove it because of elevation concerns and just start again at the gravel and assess the condition of the gravel and build the asphalt back up. And this is actually a little outdated because of the cost of living, the cost of living, the increases have well outpaced what I had anticipated. I think we could almost double what's on this chart right now. A crack fill, $5,000 a mile, used to cover a crack fill. It's gone up. It's probably more like $7,000 to $8,000 now. A chip seal used to be $20,000 a mile. We're probably $40,000 a mile. The $100,000 right at that CDP, that's a single course overlay, and we're probably pushing a $150,000 for a 2-lane road, and then the $200,000 and $300,000, depending on the complexity of the road, and as Oshtemo is getting into the utilities under the pavement, the more utilities under there, the more costly the improvement's going to be and longer it's going to take. So, talked about the treatments, the chip seal, and here we show, we actually have the original distress or the deterioration curve, and we've put our treatments in. This is what we would expect when we do a chip seal. We can see a year around 12, and it's a Pazer rating 6. If we do a chip seal, it's going to reset to an 8. Asset management, along with Michigan Tech, through their research, has told us that's probably a safe Pazer rating to reset them all to. So in our computer program, RoadSoft, whenever we do a chip seal, it resets to that Pazer 8. And then we've just extended life. Now, if we look down there, we're probably, if you measure where the original deterioration curve intersected with the critical distress over to the new deterioration curve, we're probably getting 6 to 8 years of additional life. And we continually do analysis on those treatments to see how many years we're getting. Excuse me. One of the biggest aspects to the asset management plan is what's the return on investment. When we evaluate different types of treatments, getting a return on investment means to the road commission, how many years are we getting from that investment? So we can break down how many dollars did it cost us for each additional year. So as you go down these windows of opportunity, the farther we get down into the yellow, the less cost effective it is. So if we can use preventive maintenance earlier, we are way ahead. For return on investment, that's our money best spent. I know it's not the prettiest and rollerblading, but it really gives us a good return. I know it's not a real popular tool, and we keep evaluating for other options. And I'll talk about another option that we're trialing. I don't know if it's going to work in Platts, but we're not doing it here. We're going to try it someplace else. But we're continually trying to innovate and find new techniques. So if you see something out there, let me know. We're more than happy to give it a try. And so here's that Pazer map I talked about. And I wanted to show a little bit of history for Oshtemo. So I went back to 2017 to say, hey, how were we doing in 17? And then I grabbed 20 and also 2024. So, and again, just a reminder, the green is good. Those are the best ones. Yellow, Those are the ones that are fair. We're chip sealing those. We're keeping them from getting into the red category. And then we have a few neighborhoods that we're getting into the red. Westport was one of them. And we can see those neighborhoods, and they do line up with the sewer projects. And that was very intentional. Back when I was working with, before we called it asset management, we were coordinating with the vision of Oshtemo. We already had roads that probably weren't going to, they needed a structural improvement. They were already going to be very costly. So instead of wasting money, potentially, putting a 10-year fix on a road that might get sewer, that would be a horrible return on your investment. So this collaboration, I think, has worked out for the best. Regardless if the sewer goes in, we're getting every bit of money out of those invested roads because we're going to have to reconstruct them whenever the time comes. And this is today. So the red, it seems like it's getting a lot more, but I'll go over some pie charts that put it in perspective. So we have a bar chart here comparing all of the townships. Oshtemo is at the 5.7 back in 2017. That's the average of those PASER ratings is a 5.7. And then today we're at a 5.3, a 5.4. So the poor has gone up a little bit, and in the pie charts, I think it shows it the best. So here's the primary roads in Oshtemo and the local roads. And this pie chart shows the good, fair, and poor, the three categories of PASER. So we were at 17% in 2017, and today we're at 31%. And I talked about that innovation, that new technique. We actually have a rubber chip seal that we're going to be performing for our second time. These are ground up tires. We got an Eagle grant. Not very often you can say that in the same sentence, Eagle and a grant, because usually it costs us money, not getting money from them. But we have received $700,000. It will be matched with primary roads and also local roads. The idea here is that this chip seal, while it's not a conventional, we can't do it with our equipment. It's asphalt cement versus chip seal emulsion. So asphalt cement, if it were mixed or emulsified, it can now be stored at about 160 degrees, which is where we can handle it in our distributor. But pure asphalt cement will be delivered at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so it'll melt seals in our equipment, so we can't handle it. But we have a contractor that will combine about 30% by volume these rubber ground up tires, and I mean, they're super fine. It's almost like powder. They will blend that into the asphalt cement and spray it on our chip seal roads, just like you would see us do on a normal chip seal project. It's a little bit thicker, and also it should have a greater residual factor when it's done, because it doesn't have that water that's going to be evaporating. So our county partner to the south, St. Joe, has a road that was a PASER rating, I'm going to give it a 2. Maybe it was a 2. Maybe it was a 1. A low volume. It was done, I think, probably 8 years ago. I haven't been back to it this year, but last year I was there, and it had very few cracks in it. So remember I said, if it were a 2, we're looking at a total reconstruct $300,000 plus. This chip seal, I think, was probably going to be in the magnitude of $100,000 for the chip seal. That's before we put the grant in. The idea is this grant will go away. People will find out the return without the grant is there. We can actually treat those red roads with this tool. We don't have enough history today to say that that is what's going to happen. It is still a trial. We have a few counties in the state of Michigan that are partnering with Eagle. Us, I think, Rusty, do you remember which one those were? Bay and I think Ingham also. St. Joe possibly. They were having a hard time getting reimbursed from Eagle, so they were a little hesitant to go back for more. And this is a really busy slide. This is the local projects that we've signed up for this year for Oshtemo Township. And bringing up a quick sheet on safety. Safety's top of everybody's mind. We have a flyer. This is actually on our website. Feel free, printed out. It's a result of our Safe Streets for All Users study that we did. This is a grant program from the federal government to study Kalamazoo County, all of our roads, our segments, looking at crashes, looking at the severity of the injuries. And this is what we found. I'm not going to go through it. Lane departures are huge in Kalamazoo County, as they are across all road commissions in the state of Michigan. And I forgot to hand out, don't tell Joanna, I forgot to hand out my handouts, so I will make sure to get those to you before I leave. This is the map. This is also on our website. And if you want to get it on our website, the report's only 220 pages. Quick read, a lot of pictures. If you go under resources and then brochures, at the bottom right here, it's an icon. It says Safe Streets for All Users. SS4A is its abbreviation. So this picture shows us these are the hot spots. The blue shows us in the top 50 for segments of road. The dots are intersections, and the red represent the top 10. There's a lot of segments on here. We looked at it two ways. The number of accidents on segments of road and intersections, and also those that were serious injuries or fatalities. We looked at those as well. So we have two scales that we put on this one map. And Oshtemo, not a big surprise here. Drake Road, Stadium, 9th Street. Those are the big ones. The big corridors, Sprinkle Road, anywhere where we have the big volume of traffic, come the accidents.
This is saying that seven of the top 10 in the county are in Oshtemo? Most dangerous?
7 of the top 10? I don't think so.
I'm just counting the red dots.
Oh, no. So those are, because we have, I know they have more than 10 right there. Dusty, I don't have the exact answer. But no.
I believe I've read 4.
If you want that list,
I've seen the list when MLive has published it each year. and
oh,
it-
no, it's a different list.
Okay.
This is a different list. If you go to that report, the Safe Streets for All Users, it actually has 4 spreadsheets breaking out each of the intersections, the high hit frequency intersections, and those with the severe injuries or fatalities. So those would be 2 lists. And then you have 2 more lists for those segments of roads where you have high frequency hits, accidents, and then also another list for the severe injuries and fatalities on stretches of roads.
Okay.
Okay? Neighborhood traffic calming. It's almost like Anna told me beforehand that, I should be prepared about this. So we're working through it. I wish the process were faster. I get it. And we're kind of new to this. It was a policy I think our board adopted a year and a half, 2 years ago. We had one ahead of Oshtemo. It never finished. It lost support from the residents. I think this is a good process to have the residents involved. That way, when the result does come, we have buy-in and ownership from the township, from law enforcement, from the residents. Hopefully, we can make it go faster in the future. So bear with us. We're going to continue to work with you. Township Connect. So this is our homepage, just so everybody knows. I encourage everybody to take a look. Township Connect for the board members and for township staff. We have set up special websites for each of the 15 townships. If you don't have the username password, I'd be happy to get it for you. Each township has their unique password, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, so feel free to just shout and I'll get it for you. Communicating with us, phone number 381-3171. Kalamazoo County Roads, that's our website, and there is tons of data on that website. You could easily spend a week perusing all of the data there. We're on social media, Facebook. We still call it Twitter, but I know it's X. It just doesn't look the same with just an X up there. Instagram, LinkedIn, and our new address, I'm going to jump ahead there. New address, we just recently moved to 4400 26th Street, South 26th Street, which is in Comstock Township. I think it's about roughly 1.1 miles from our old facility, which was actually, oddly enough, in the city of Kalamazoo. So now we're actually in the county. RCKC Connect, it's our mass notification system. If you haven't signed up, I'd encourage you to. If you're a bicyclist, you want to know where we're chip sealing, because I know those two don't go together very well. You can sign up for this from our home page. I'm going to jump back here. And in the upper, just to the left of that blue arrow, you'll see those two arrows, green, looks like a road that's passing each other. Click on that, and that's how you would sign up for RCKC Connect. The app, if you were to go into the App Store, it's actually called Everbridge. And then Everbridge, you can sign up for multiple different users, and RCKC is one of them. And that's it.
Thank you, Mark. Good overview of the functions and of the road commission and the status of what we're facing here in the township regarding the roads that the road commission controls. I'd like to invite, are there any members of the road commission board or staff that would like to say anything to the township board before we move into questions and comments? Okay. I am going to ask that if you decide you want to participate in comments or questions, that you go ahead and move to the podium so that we can pick you up on the microphone, okay? I appreciate that. So I'm going to, at this point, open up questions from the board that if you want to, I have several comments here. They're a little bit less questiony and more commenty than that, so. Trustee Ford, you
Yeah,
want to
I've
kick us
got
off?
a few questions, probably related just to the items that were emailed to you guys. So I recall when our friends from Green Meadow came to this township board looking for help on traffic calming. And there wasn't a lot we could do at the time, so we sent them your way, and they came back to us. And ultimately, we got this long list from your policy of steps that had to be taken before, I guess, traffic calming measures might be put in place. So that was a while back now. I don't recall exactly how long. I'm sure they do. It was demoralizing to look at that list at that time, as far as how do we get from we know we have a problem because we see it every single day and we're living it, to somebody doing something about it with all the tax dollars that they're paying, right? And it sounds like you're making some progress, but it doesn't feel like it's happening quickly enough for these residents. So I guess the question is, when is it time to review that policy? And how do you guys make decisions around policy? How does that come to your commission?
So policies are approved by our board. Staff makes recommendations on what would change. Like I talked about earlier, we would like to see one of these actually hit the finish line and get enough participation.
Right.
I think in the meeting right now where they're at is law enforcement to do increased enforcement. And then there was also agreed upon street signs, little yard signs. They're effective. I don't know how that works, but if you get enough of those and participation, I know people roll their eyes, but unless we try these things, how do we know? If we have data that says they do work, we need to get more people to participate in the program. Before we just jump to it didn't work, we'd like to get enough
Absolutely.
participation.
I can understand that approach. I think the concern I have is that on day one, when I looked at that, the onus was on the residents to come and prove to you that there was a problem and to educate. It just felt like they were being asked to do the job that I would expect the road commission to do. Educating the public, putting out signs, I don't know, investigating the problem, I suppose. It just feels like there's too much responsibility placed in the lap of the resident, and now we're a couple years down the road, and I don't feel like we're actually closer to solving their concerns on Green Meadow. And it feels like I need this commission to take a hard look at its policy and decide if that's the kind of customer service you really want to be putting forward, because that's That's the problem I'm seeing, and it's not working, and I'd like to see you guys make an actual effort to change the policy. It's a request.
Thank you.
Do I need to come to the meetings and like bother Tom all the time until it gets put on an agenda? Like what?
Absolutely, you are always, anybody's welcome. Our meetings are public.
Absolutely.
and there-
I've got a job to do here in Oshtemo, and I know that you guys have a job to do at the road commission. So I'd like you guys to do that job and to take my concern about this policy and have a discussion about it. I don't want to have to show up and ask you to do it. Is that something that you guys can consider?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, trustee Sikora.
Oh, can I keep going? I've got just a couple things I want to.
Oh, yeah, no,
Sorry.
okay, fire away.
No, it's all right.
Trustee
I'm on a roll. So the other topic that I wanted to talk about was the Atlantic Ave extension that we're working on out here in Oshtemo. And in combination with those slides you showed us earlier with the deadly intersections or the dangerous intersections. So we're doing Atlantic Avenue because we know that that is a dangerous intersection there at Stadium and, 9th Street. We've known that since, I don't know, I started on this board in 2015. We've known that since then. What has the road commission done since 2015 regarding the safety at 9th Street and Stadium Drive? Because I know there's been some
So we
work,
did
but
we did a realignment there.
a little bit, yeah, it's not quite as cockeyed as it used to be, right?
Yeah, Zach,
Okay.
correct.
Other plans? Because obviously it's 24 and that's still on our list, right?
Yeah, as you can tell on the map, we have a lot of intersections to look at. I know this one is very special to Oshtemo. We have a lot across the county to look at.
Yeah, I guess so, but not that many when you're looking at that slide that you showed, right? I mean, less than a dozen.
That's a lot.
Okay.
When
But
we
it's
currently
been,
are,
it's been a decade too, right?
currently
So-
our budget, we're in a deficit of $15 to $20 million every year behind on projects. So grants are dear to our heart. Safety grants, which I know this project that you're speaking of on Atlantic is going for, and we'll be turning it in for safety funding. Yeah, there are a lot. I wish we could get to all of them.
Okay. All right. And then the final thing, I guess it's not really on this list, is I'm having some troubles with some of the fees that we're paying to the road commission, particularly when I think about the sidewalk project on 9th Street. It's, I believe, funded through a federal grant. I don't think you guys are even the contractor on it. It's crossing your desk, and we're paying how many?
10.4% or 11.4%.
11.4% of a very
Project cost.
large project, and I don't know that we're getting any value from the road commission for that 11.4%. So can you help me understand why we're doing that?
You know, those grants go through the road commission. We have to, our engineer has to review those, make sure everything is up to our standards. The 10.4% is per the Michigan compiled law, Act 51. We have to I wish our accountant was here. We had talked about the overhead charge previously. I know this is a tough one for you. That is our practice. We do apply this to all townships when we have to oversee the dollars, whether it be from the federal or the state government. We do apply that overhead charge.
Okay. It seems in this case that the review of these documents is something that should be itemized. Like, it seems like a flat 10%. I don't know. I guess I'm not in that business, but it seems a little bit black box to the township what this dollars are for. And
Doesn't Act 51 say you're supposed to charge the actual cost to you, to the other party? Isn't that what it says? It doesn't say 10.5%.
It's
No, it doesn't.
11.4 in this example.
So it talks to what has to be calculated in the overhead charge. Our accounting team calculates that every year. And I think we're always 2 years behind in that calculation because it has to be approved through the audit. Because we're doing estimating. This year, we'll be working in the winter, working on estimates for next year. This year won't be closed yet. It will be a
so
full.
you guys internally set an overhead rate annually,
Yes.
and it's a recommendation that your accountants give you?
Yeah, based
Okay.
on the actual, like the attorney said, based on the actual costs from 2 years prior.
Okay. I think that that's something that the township should investigate a little further.
I've never seen that analysis, by the way.
Okay. That's why I'm asking the question, Jim, because I want you to take a note of this, so that if you and Sherry decide, or this board decides to dig deeper into that, that you're ready to do so.
And our budgets are online. You can look at our.
Absolutely. No, that's fine. I don't mean to be accusatory. I'm a little passionate sometimes when I talk, but
I can tell.
I mean well. It's all friendly here. But these are things that are important to the residents of Oshtemo, and therefore they're important to me, and so I have to ask. So I appreciate the candor. Thank you.
I mean, so the board's aware, with the example of the sidewalk project from 9th Street to Stadium Drive, it's $150,000 that the township will be paying the road commission to manage our grant. That seems steep. And that's just one example. Anything else, trustee Ford?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sikora?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the presentation. I have 3 comments or questions for you. I do subscribe to the Everbridge announcements.
Thank you.
We have for years. Appreciate getting the alerts. Just a suggestion of something that maybe you could change or correct or whatever. So recently, 2023 RRCKC annual report email came out. Click here to read our annual report. Came out May 1st, right?
Yep.
Nice little link in here, great. I click on the link, takes me to your webpage that says the report is now available. Click here to read the report. I click there and I go to another page that then has a whole list of reports. How many clicks do I have to make to get to your report?
Thank you for that.
I mean, it seems a little bit excessive when you sent, the first one that came out said, click here to read the report. I did read the report, thank you.
Thank you.
But I just kind of a suggestion just to throw in there. It kind of deters people to keep going when it just becomes, how many times do I have to click here, okay?
Agreed.
Kind of silly,
Thank
but
you.
it is what it is. Another thing that came up when the whole, Squires Road, the Drake Road intersection came up, a lot of people were curious about how much does it cost to put in a roundabout? And I know your costs are somewhere on there, but is there an easy way for people to find that information?
Not all roundabouts are created the same.
Yeah, can you find the number, what the dollar value is on your site somewhere? So
For our projects,
Yeah.
the Squires Road actually has a roundabout plus paving of Squires, so it gets a
Yeah.
little messy.
right,
Those roundabouts are roughly $1 million down to $250,000. Quarter would be a mini, almost, I'm not sure what they call them. But it's a compact mini roundabout. So they really range in cost, and sometimes when you're trying to get a roundabout in, there is property that needs to be acquired too, and that can be quite costly. So it really, and then there's utilities that are really, it gets quite hairy.
so where would I find that though on your website?
So if you go into
I got
the road
page
data,
here. Yep.
and then the-
road data, got it?
in our CIP, you'll find what projects are currently being built,
Okay,
and it's sorted by township.
okay.
So if you look in Kalamazoo under primary roads, you'll find the cost of our Squires Road, Drake Road intersection.
Okay, I think someone was responding to probably the MLive article about it or something and saying it costs how much to put that in, but I couldn't tell them well, go to the website and find this, it's right here, you can better understand it rather than just complaining about, which is why I'm kind of asking these questions to help me understand and then I can pass those along, so, okay, thank you for that. And last thing, totally different, what causes what I call road peeling? Where there's a, top layer of
Yeah.
inch or something, a foot, 3 feet wide. There's a bunch of them I drive through up 4th Street. There's some on KL where it just, what the heck causes that? Everyone's going, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. Okay, there you go, all right. Yeah, what causes that?
So we're a little perplexed. There's a lot of people have a lot of ideas on what this could be. So we've actually hired SME, Soils and Materials, to do an investigation on this to identify what is causing this so we can avoid it going forward.
Super, thank you.
If it's the material selections, if it's a combination of the chip seal materials, or if there's water in the subbase, these are all have been thrown out there as possibilities, so stay tuned. Hopefully next year when I'm back, I'll have that answer.
Yeah, well, and I won't go and report all of those as a thing to fix, you know, one is on your spreadsheet, so, since I know you're working on it.
Keep sending in the service requests, we love those.
Well, I didn't want to stop and measure them, you know, in the middle of the road on 4th Street with people driving, you know, kind of thing.
No.
That's a safety issue, I didn't want to be on that statistic.
Now you guys, not unless you have your traffic control set up.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Mark?
I'm set, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Neil. Mark, back to trustee Sikora's question on Squires. Does the investment that the township is making to help complete that roundabout, is that included in your project cost, or is it only what the road commission is investing?
Great question. I want to say that it is in the total cost of the project that's reported on the website, but I'll have to get back to you on that to make
Okay.
sure.
And I just want to make that point to the board members, that these projects don't come just at the heels of the investment of federal dollars from the road commission. The township often kicks in our own allocated funds to help get these done as well.
Yep, for sidewalks, absolutely.
And easements.
Yeah, and the easements that the sidewalks will sit,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, there's-
Thank you.
Trustee Chapman? Nothing? Okay, great. Clerk Farmer?
Has the road commission, have you guys had a chance to investigate the use of the removable speed bumps that the city of Kalamazoo uses? We were setting up for early voting in November, and I was driving down Patterson, and I see these, I'm driving over these speed bumps that are clearly not a part of the road. They can be removed, and I assume that that's for road plowing, which my understanding is that is one of the biggest concerns from the road commission, is plowing roads in the winter and having traffic calming in the middle of the road that would hinder that process. So then when I see these removable speed bumps, I think, wow, what a great idea. Then we have, you know, we can help our residents, where we have many who would love traffic calming measures, not just at Green Meadow. The ability for residents to be able to get together and go through the process that's laid out by the road commission is more than just tedious. It's something that takes a long time. I'm not surprised you have a community that maybe no longer wants them. It's very possible that the people who wanted them have no longer live in that area for a number of reasons because the process is so long. So it just seems like these temporary speed bumps could be something that would work for both sides.
Yeah. The other one in Texas, the first one, the person who actually was initiating it moved, not because of the speed on the road.
Right, no, I don't
A
think
job,
that's why they
but
moved.
I'm just, the point was, one person was the key carrying the
Yeah.
torch. And when that went out, we actually reached out to them repeatedly, trying to keep it moving forward, and there was no interest from the other residents. So that's why that one fell by the
Yeah,
wayside.
I mean, people are
Dusty,
busy.
and we are talking to the city of Kalamazoo about those removable. That is one of the tools or possible outcomes of this. Yeah, I drove on Patterson too and saw those. I thought those were a great idea.
At the very least, it was a good reminder that I was already going over the speed limit, which I was. I mean, it's a really big, it's a really wide road, and you just, and that's the same problem with wide lanes. You feel like it's so luxurious, and you can go
This
faster.
must be 55.
Right.
And also I did find it, it's about 1.6, almost $1.7 million is the cost of the roundabout, the whole project that's being done at Squires and Drake Road. R.C. Casey's contribution on that is $924,000. So I don't have the breakdown of the townships though, so I'll still have to get back to you on that.
Anything else, Clerk Farmer?
No.
No? Treasurer
So
Bushka?
I am one of those residents that live on Sky Ridge. I am looking to move because of the speed. I have a granddaughter and a third of an acre, and we do not and will not use a third of that third of an acre. I won't get the mailbox or the mail out of my mailbox if I'm not in my vehicle. So it is a very big issue, and it is very frustrating that it's taken so long. And I try to stay out of the public meetings and the RKC meetings, just because I'm the board member and I kind of, but it's horrible. It truly, truly is horrible, and somebody will end up dying on that multi-section of road. The other question I have is on the map that you still have up. The Drake Road and Stadium, is that the Costco traffic light area? Off to the right?
I thought it was West Main and Drake.
I think it's KL and Drake is the first, the most southern red dot you see.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Then I don't have a question on that.
Of
I
course,
was gonna suggest that
but we wouldn't show that. That's not our intersection.
well, I was gonna suggest that it's not a road issue, it's a traffic light timing issue if it's the Costco
Uh,
area.
We also have been working with MDOT and the city of Kalamazoo for the timing, especially in this corridor. It is constantly being tweaked
Yeah,
to
okay.
try and get it to work, so.
That's all I
appreciate it.
have, just a plea for help in that subdivision. It's really bad.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? No? I have quite a few here, and I want to start my questions and comments in that they are not personal, and that relationships and partnerships can be hard. And I want to give you my lens as a relatively new supervisor for the township. I just finished my year anniversary. I'm very grateful to our township engineer who meets with me to dig into the details about public works, how things are funded, and the priorities that we make. So one thing, I want to provide you a little history of my scope, and then I'll share my comments, and then I hope we can continue to build our relationship and move forward. It was clear to me when I took on this role that the relationship between the township and the road commission was less than robust. I come from a background of public service, and we all know public service is difficult, and serving the communities that we represent. I also come from a perspective that sitting around the table and learning from each other and coming to a common set of goals is a way to be a partner in relationships where both sides feel heard and that their priorities are at least addressed beyond some plans moving forward. That was my goal when I came to the township, and I absolutely reached out to Joanna at the Road Commission and began to develop a rapport in my role as supervisor with the Road Commission and attempt to sort of perhaps set the clock over, right? So that we could work in partnerships, in a partnership way that has authenticity. And a year in, I can kind of feel some of the difficulties of why that has been the case. And so from a community standpoint, where we're also investing our road dollars, our dollars, so shoot, through CATS, help me, Anna, the TAP grant, and then what's the other funding?
Safety.
No, it'll come to me. It doesn't matter. Frankly, it's a detail that doesn't matter. We have expressed our priorities on what we need as a township, and it's repeatedly met with, this is the way that the Road Commission does things. And in my opinion, there seems to be not an acknowledgement that we are a true partner in dollars and cents, but yet the ideologies of what our residents tell us they want on their roads is not met in policy at the Road Commission. And I think Zach's example of the traffic calming in Green Meadow is probably the most poignant example. You've done a study on safety. I haven't seen that graphic yet. I will take a look at it. Obviously, you know, we're in the master planning process. And, you know, we're working with other professionals to help improve and expand the safety of our roads in the township. And I appreciate that the Road Commission is there. But, and Mark, I don't remember if you were you at the meeting with the Green Meadow residents when we talked about launching them off into the traffic calming? I know Ryan was there, Anna was there.
I think Ryan and Jim Hoekstra were there, I was not.
Just as a citizen, that policy, I really encourage you to look at it. It is onerous on the residents. There isn't a toolkit developed that you could even give a list of best practices. You know, the speed study that came out of the Green Meadow was alarming. There needs to be a checklist when you're looking at these traffic calming measures that at some point when the speed gets so high, we move to a faster route to address the problem. And so I just encourage you in some ways, I mean, and listen, I appreciate you cover a lot of miles of roads, you have a limited budget, we have the same problem. But the population of Oshtemo Township isn't the same as some of the populations in our communities around us. And it's not that I expect special treatment, it's that I expect that the Road Commission recognizes that we have needs that are different than some of the smaller townships south, north, east, or west of us, and your policies need to reflect that. And I'll use another specific example. We work to do the transportation and mobility ordinance in the township to lift the private street moratorium. And we spent a lot of time with a professional, internally and externally, to write that ordinance and try to provide some relief both to the developers and the incoming residents that were going to be on these streets. And we specifically ask for meaningful feedback about the ordinance from the Road Commission and around the design standards, particularly for the roads, right? Things like narrower streets and things that are engineered sound that they slow traffic down. And there was no meaningful comment back from the Road Commission on that activity. It was basically, editors, you need a period here or spell out this acronym. It was not meaningful dialogue. And so I just encourage you, when we reach out to the Road Commission, we want meaningful feedback. If that street design doesn't work for you for what reason, then why? Okay, well then let's talk about it. Like, instead of it's our way or nothing, and it is how it feels. And in some respects, it is an antiquated way to run a public entity at this point in time. I think that residents and communities, especially in growing communities, have greater needs, that the policies and the way roads are being built or maintained in the Road Commission, you need to bring yourselves up to current times to address things like non-motorized. For the longest time, I was led to believe that Road Commission funding, we'll use Squires Avenue as an example. We already had a path there. The new roundabout is going to tear out our path, and we have to pay to put it back again. And that's frustrating. And pay for the easements that, you know, and it wasn't a partnership. It was, this is what we're doing, and this is what you're going to pay for. That is not a way to build an authentic partnership. And I know I apologize for, I actually am not going to apologize for my direct candor. I think you need to know how it feels from the receiving end at times to do work with the road commission. I really want to be there with you, but we really need some relief to address the development that's going on here in the township. And I say all that because it has left me at times very frustrated with the Act 51, MCL, whatever you quoted, and that we're excluded and that we rely on partners, the road commission, to manage our Act 51 dollars. I have the talent internally to do that work. And so if you really want to be a partner with us, then work with us on our priorities. That includes, you can spend your money on non-motorized, but the response is always, you know, the same thing, like, well, our budget is this, that, or other thing. Well, or we're in a budget deficit, and your budget deficit isn't really, your deficit is really in the projects you want to fund. It's not in your overall operating budget. I mean, am I clarifying that correctly?
Correct.
Yeah. So, you know, you've taken what we know are priorities of our residents and you take them right off the table. And that's not partnership. That's being told what you're going to do with essentially is our transportation, it's our funding. And then you're taking 10 or 11% of it on top of that. That doesn't feel like a partnership. So I know that kind of feels a little bit like ripping the Band-Aid off, but I do want you to know that I am committed, I'm honestly committed to internal staff time and talent, continued conversations with the road commission. But if you want to be viewed as a partner, right now, your partnership exists in our dollars and cents. And I would like it to be more meaningful than that. So with that, Mark, I welcome any responses you might have, but I think you need to hear what the challenges are from our side with working with the road commission.
I appreciate the candor. It is difficult, as I started off. It's difficult when there's a tight budget and we all have different competing priorities. There is a lot of friction there. I'm not going to get into any of the details. I'll let the board choose if they want to, but I thank you for the comments from all board members. I hear you, and I'm sure our board members hear you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And your board meeting is now on my calendar. I mean, I usually have to log in via Zoom, but it's very clear to me that not knowing what you all are talking about on your dais, I need to know that so that, and I know Anna watches your meetings regularly, but I think that I need to do my work too, you know, so I just share that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark. Yeah, sure, Tom.
As the chair, I thank you sincerely for your comments. Absolutely appreciate those. I will take it back to my board. We will discuss. We know that as the safe streets and the opportunity to change things in our streets is difficult. That's why we came up with a policy 2 years ago. Prior to that, there was nothing. And we can clearly understand how difficult it is to work through the beginnings, if you will, of trying to make this policy something that's a real tool and helpful. But I will absolutely take this back to my board. We will work on it, take a look at it, see if there's something we can do to expedite the process. It's detailed, it's unfortunate, but we'll do the best we can. But again, I sincerely appreciate your comments, and we will do the best we can to help you.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Certainly.
Anything else? Any other members? No? All right, thank you all for being present. I appreciate it. The information is important. And again, I'm committed to being an authentic, transparent partner with the Road Commission to have all of our priorities addressed and move forward. All right. Thank you. At this time, we're still in item number 6, public official updates. I see our county commissioner here. Dale, did you have anything you wanted to share with the audience?
Well, briefly, it's probably the longest official comment time you've ever had. Yeah. Just in light of what happened last week with the tornado in Portage, I just want to actually thank Oshtemo Township. I work for Portage Public Safety. I was working when the tornado hit, and as Tom heard last night, 44 years ago yesterday, I was working for the city of Kalamazoo when the tornado hit. So strictly coincidence. But after the incident, you know, there was just almost total devastation in some areas. In fact, FEMA arrived here today, and they're going to be going to the neighborhoods Wednesday and Thursday. There's over 100 single-family homes that have either been totally destroyed or probably should be demolished. You know, 50 mobile homes, 20 multi-family residents, so it's pretty bad. But they, for one of the first times in decades probably, the fire departments had an all-call, which meant every fireman, well, the volunteers didn't have to come in, but I'm sure 98% of them did, and they all responded to the city of Portage, as well as all the local police agencies. So just on behalf of being a member of Portage Public Safety, I wanted to thank Oshtemo for allowing that to happen. And everybody, you know, getting through it. Every day is an improvement, but it's still, when you go down there, even though it's been a week, it's just shocking to see some of the destruction in our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Dale. I will tell you that it really made me appreciate the county's emergency plan that I just became more familiar with. I think we just updated it or signed it and made it really clear why those coordinations are so important in a time of tragedy.
Yeah, it's just so great that there's always a silver lining, but when people come together, it really makes a big difference.
And for the board members, I think our entire fire staff that night and at least 2 trucks went over to Portage, and then we called in, paid on call and other staff to staff our stations so that Oshtemo was still covered, but yeah, they all headed over to Portage.
Yeah, very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm looking out in the pub, or here in the gallery, and are there any other public officials wishing to make a statement? Okay, then I will close item number 6, and we will move to the consent agenda. Item 7, is there anyone from this body wishing to move something off of the consent agenda?
I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Support.
I have a motion by trustee Ford and support, I believe it was trustee Sikora first, to adopt the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0 with 1 absent. Item number 8. At this time, the supervisor wishes to make a motion to move item number 8 to a date certain at our May 28th board meeting, as the representatives, unfortunately, I think it was a communication, the representatives were unable to be fully here and prepared for the 14th, and I do think that was a communication. So I'd like to make a motion that item number 8 be moved, tabled.
Do we have to take this action to table it, or do
Yep.
we just?
Yes.
You have to, in order to not have to republish the notice. If you table to a date certain, it
Gotcha.
saves us republication costs.
Understood.
And tabled to our May 28th board meeting.
Farmer second.
Motion by Bell, second by Farmer. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 absent. This moves us to item number 9, a resolution regarding the 2nd Street Special Assessment District. At this time, I would like to ask Public Works Anna Horner to introduce and present to the board what we have in front of us.
Sure, thank you Supervisor Bell. So as the board probably remembers, last board meeting, we declared the intent to schedule this or set this special assessment district. And so this is the first public hearing in a two-part public hearing that is going to set the district. The memo includes a map so you can see exactly the limits of the project. This has been a few years, I think, in the making with the CIC committee, the Capital Improvement Committee recommending to the board a new road assessment policy now that we have the road millage. The residents signed a petition in November of 2023 and brought forth to the board, or brought forth to the CIC a request for the township to contribute the maximum allowable in our road assessment policy, which is 50%, as well as pay for the safety portion of the project. So ultimately, the township is paying for 57% of this project, and the remainder goes to the district. We have set up the terms of the SAD similar to how we set up all infrastructure agreements. I'm not going to read the whole Fannie Mae LLPA table, but it's in your memo that references how that's calculated, and it was approved for a 6-year term. I will say that, and then there's also the estimate from the road commission included in the packet as well. As the engineer making an estimate, you never want to be the low bidder, we kind of joke about. So I will say that the road commission is very accurate with making their estimates, and they usually come in underestimate, but they at least put themselves in a position that if there are, additional mailboxes that need to be adjusted or trees that need to be pruned or cleared, that they have enough quantities in their estimates. So the memo also addresses that, mostly because at the end, the assessment will reflect the actual as-built quantities. This is the estimate at this time. And then finally, I will say there's also a table that includes the 18 parcels that are included in the district. This was worked on. We recently had a meeting with the residents of Second Street to talk about how the assessment is set up. And the supervisor, the assessor, myself, the public works director, and the township attorney did meet following that to talk about within the Act 188 that we operate under to set up road improvement special assessments, both the proportionality and apportionment, to make sure that this was reflective of the assessment being presented tonight to the board. There is one parcel that would like to remove their name from the petition. It is for 1256 South Second Street. That still gives the petition sufficiency to move forward. But we did meet with them this morning. I met with them yesterday, and we met again this morning. And they wanted to see the assessment differently, and so they wanted to remove their filing on the petition for the record.
For the record, Anna, can you tell us what the percentage is with that parcel removed?
Yes, I can. If you give me 1 second just to confirm that.
While she's doing that, unfortunately, the act that we operate under is a little bit different than the act that the county operates under. So when the initial discussions with some of the residents took place, everybody thought it was going to be just based on a per parcel basis. Unfortunately, Act 188 requires that the petition to request the improvement has to be based on front footage. The road commission has a different statute they operate under, and it was more a per parcel basis. So the front footage is what determines. So if you have 500 feet and you sign, that's a larger percentage, obviously, than if you have 200 feet. But it's all based on front footage. The assessments, however, once you determine front footage, sufficiency on petitions, then your next step is moving to the roll and apportionment of the value of the improvement to each individual parcel. And so that was a little confusing, and it was unfortunate. I think that, I know that the Mr. and Mrs. Harding were frustrated by that there's one rule for the petition, there's a different rule, if you will. It changes how you calculate apportionment. It doesn't always have to be by front foot, and front foot alone often isn't the most appropriate way to do it. That's why we went the direction that we did.
That makes it 56%.
So you still have sufficiency.
Correct.
I want to, can I do my, like, Sherry Bell simplified so that I make sure I'm understanding it correctly?
Sure. And then, once everything's completed here, we have to remember that you'll open the public hearing then to consider objections, comments on the petitions for the project, the proposed improvement, and the plans. This is not the time for consideration objections to the assessment. This is time to formally consider any objections or comments on the petition, the project, and the plans.
So I want to just share with the other members of this board, and I want to make sure I'm viewing this appropriately based on the conversation after looking at these numbers again with our assessor, public works director, and attorney, is that there's the value that the road brings to an individual parcel is not a greater value if you have 500 feet of frontage or 100 feet of frontage. And so having a newly paved road in front of your home will impact the value, correct? Equally across all the parcels regardless of the length of the paving.
Yes, in my opinion, generally that's true, and I believe that your assessor was of a similar opinion. The benefit is to the residents, the home on the property. Whether you have 200 feet or 500 feet, the benefit is just that you have a paved road. And as I explained to the Hardings today, I said it's hard to understand that when you sign a petition, you're signing based on front footage, but when you apportion the value, we had to look at something other than just front footage, and that's why we came up with a formula that basically capped it at 200 feet and spread the cost among the 18 parcels.
And actually, I believe the assessor during that conversation did not think it was appropriate to do it based on the front footage, correct? She stated absolutely that it needed to, you couldn't base the increase in value off of the footage. It had to be equal because the increase in value is the same.
Yeah, the danger there is that you would create an apportionment that would levy too high a cost on those parcels that had a larger frontage.
So I mostly just wanted to validate myself that I understood it.
It's a very, unfortunately, it's not a simple process. 188 is not as easy to work through as the statute the county works through. But again, I think we did a good job the other night. In spite of the storm, we were in this room.
Should not have been in this
And a
room.
lot of people that couldn't make it were at least
On Zoom.
zooming in, so.
Thanks, Jim, for allowing me to sort of sort that out loud. So the next step in this matter would be to,
Open the public hearing and take any comments from anybody on Second Street within the Special Assessment District. Take their comments, possible objections, comments on the project, if they wish to comment.
You said, but not for the petitions.
no, not for the.
Not for the,
This is written,
no, not for the, this is not the time to object to your assessment. That is, the hearing on the roll and the level of assessment will be at the next hearing.
yes.
So it's a two-step process. First, you formally establish the district, approve the plans, and the cost estimates, and then you move to the next step on the 28th.
So do we need a motion to open the public
No,
hearing?
Nope, you just open it.
All right, so at this time, we will open the public hearing regarding the South Second Street Special Assessment District. And repeating what Attorney Porter said, the purpose, if anyone wishes to object or make comments, they are not related to the specific assessments that are found on page 31. This public hearing is to set the district and
Approve the plans.
approve the plans
And the project.
and the project. Okay.
And the next step will be then to set the special assessment hearing on the 28th.
Okay.
That's what your resolution contains. Yep, again, 2 steps in this document.
So at this time, public hearing is open. If there's anyone wishing to make an objection or comments concerning what have presented in front of you, now would be the time to approach the podium. Please tell us who you are, and your address is helpful too. Yeah, sure.
Hi, my name's Yvonne Haystack, and I want to thank you. When we were talking about the road commission earlier, and someone made a comment like, you want to be heard, and you guys did hear us. You put this through in a timely manner, and you heard us when a lot of us wanted it to be a little bit more proportionate, and just working through it with you guys have been good. Thank you all. It's nice to know that you're not just going to do what you want anyway, so we appreciate your help. Thank you. And Alicia's our road person, too.
Thank you. Let's see, Chief Barnes, welcome back, welcome back.
I shaved my beard so you know who I was.
That's right.
Yeah, I do want to echo what she said. The support the township has done has been fabulous. I just have a soapbox I have to be on, so it's on record, and then I'll go away. You're used to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who dropped the ball? The roads in our township are all paved through streets except one. When did this happen?
You are to blame. I have decided.
Okay.
Something,
I'm used to
something
that.
preserving rural character, I believe.
Yes, yes.
That would be at least 5 boards ago. No?
Yeah, there's nobody in this room. I'm serious. Well, there are some more senior than others. No, so, I mean, for whatever it's worth, yeah, somebody dropped the ball big time here. You didn't special assess other residents for other county roads. This is not a plat. This is a through street county road. So, okay, I said my piece, won't help me, but I tried. I heard Anna say something about if costs come up because like having to move an extra mailbox or something. Are there things that we can do as residents to help keep that down? There's some of us retired. We can cut trees. We can do all kinds of things.
I don't know if I can speak during public hearing, but I would recommend you don't do that and leave it to the road professionals, so.
I got time. No.
Do it.
Thank you, everyone. It's good to see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. For those that might not be aware, that's former Fire Chief of Oshtemo, Mark Barnes, who also happens to be a resident on Second Street, I do believe. Is there anyone else here wishing to make comment, objections regarding item number 9? Seeing no further comment or questions or objections, I will close the public hearing.
You basically then have in front of you a resolution. It's a 2-part resolution. We couldn't make anything too simple. So the first one would be to move the adoption of the Second Street Special Assessment District, the project plans and the cost for those on Second Street. And the second, that on page 27, one, if that's adopted, would be to set the special assessment hearing for the 28th.
We cannot do that in one motion.
No,
Okay,
yeah.
so, yeah, we got a resolution on 26 and 7 when they gotta move independently, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to adopt the resolution on Second Street Special Assessment District as presented.
Farmer.
Motion by trustee Ford, support by clerk Farmer. Any discussion on the motion? This is a resolution and a roll call vote.
Good job.
Trustee Cole is absent. Trustee Sikora?
Yes.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Ford?
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Bushka?
Yes.
And Supervisor Bell.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 6-0 with Cole absent.
All right, I move to adopt the resolution scheduling hearing on assessment roll for Second Street Special Assessment District and setting it for, what was that date?
March 28th.
May
May
28th. And setting it for May 28th.
Support.
I wish. Motion by trustee Ford, support by treasurer Bushka. Any discussion on the motion? It's a resolution and a roll call vote.
Trustee Cole is absent. Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Ford?
Yes.
Trustee Sikora?
Yes.
Treasurer Bushka?
Yes.
I vote yes. And Supervisor Bell.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted 6-0 with Cole absent.
Okay.
For the board's information, the notices will be published pursuant to the statute, and mailed notices will go to all of those individuals within the Second Street Special Assessment District for the 28th, indicating that if they want to protest their special assessment, they'll have to do so in written form or at the hearing on the 28th.
You got your ruler to make sure that that notice is the correct size. So we don't have that issue again.
Well,
You
we're no
are-
longer paying premium, so it really could be an issue.
I am glad to hear that, I mean, maybe it's required by statute or something, but I'm glad that individual notices are going out to the residents.
Oh, that is
Is it required?
That is an
Yeah.
absolute
Yeah,
requirement.
that's good. Okay, moving on, item number 10, we have another resolution regarding the Fairlane Platte Streetlights Project.
So this is a resolution to edit our standard lighting contract with Consumers Energy, which is required anytime we remove or add lights. Public Works has been looking in coordination with the upcoming sewer projects for streets that either have, they don't meet the current standards for spacing of streetlights, or they have conversion opportunities. We wanted to be proactive in designing those with Consumers Energy, so that while we had the road ripped up, we were, addressing anything else that needed to happen underground. This plat in particular is one that already has the poles in place, so there's not as much underground work as would be anticipated, and so we're just moving forward with it since we have this type of work in the budget to do these conversions and upgrades. So this is just kind of like a one-off from those other projects that are going to be coordinated with the underground work.
Typically, they replace these on their dime as they fail, correct?
Correct.
And we're just deciding to be proactive to upgrade the neighborhood?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a bigger strategy, like maybe over 5 years, to do bigger chunks of conversions to just recognize the cost savings. Our Public Works Project Manager, Zach Pearson, told me the other day that having one of these LED lights is about 1/3 of the cost annually than the high-pressure sodiums. So although it is nice that they can do some of the conversions when they go out, if the poles are there, you can see in the estimate $100 to change the fixture out, and the savings definitely pays for itself
Thank you.
over time.
With the,
Hold on.
I'm
Should I?
sorry.
Well, I'm just wondering if I should take public comment on this item before we move to board discussion.
I have a question.
Oh, okay.
So with the recent Northern Lights sightings that have happened over this last weekend, what I really saw was an uptick in people on my Facebook feed complaining about LED lights and the light pollution. And it made me think about our requirements for businesses to have a full cutoff of lights so that they don't go up, they go down. I don't think can require that of Consumers Energy, but do you have any idea, or can you speak to any ability we might have to direct those lights downward?
We can definitely ask them about that. We have a really good relationship with somebody now, right, because we've been working through these projects, so we have a direct contact we could talk to them about. Yeah, I think it's a good, yeah, we can definitely ask them about that. I haven't heard anything from them.
And I will say, in past experience, I mean, Consumers is huge. There are lots of people, and lots of people know different things. I mean, we found out really good information a few years ago just about the LEDs in general, so I was hoping that there might be something that we could explore to help out, you know, people who want to see the northern lights. Or anything else in the sky.
I noticed the exact same comments.
Right? It was like, well, Fran was everywhere. She was, yeah.
And it's more than just the northern lights, because it affects migratory patterns of birds, it affects other things in our environment. So it is a significant issue, and it can be reduced fairly easily.
And our ordinances do attempt to assist in that, but this would be outside of that, so.
No, and sometimes if you don't throw up an idea, there might be other community, you know what I mean, like.
Well, if they're like, we'll just put little tents over the top, maybe that's the solution.
A little umbrella.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
why.
All right, any further questions from the board for Public Works Director Anna Horner? Okay, at this time, I would entertain any comments from the public concerning item number 10, agenda item number 10.
While the public's deciding whether they want to comment, I'll let you know there's a simplified resolution on page 45 of your packet, if you decide to move this forward.
Anyone wishing to make comments?
Oh, wait, the one I wrote might not.
I will close public comment and go into board deliberation on item 10.
I'm in favor of doing this.
I used to live on Fairgrove, so I'm in favor of it too.
For the old hood.
Is that a motion?
Are there?
I can make that in the form of a motion, unless there's any other questions. Authorizing Consumers Energy to make changes in the lighting service as provided in the standard light contract dated February 1st, 2013, is that?
Yep.
Is that fine? Thanks.
And to allocate $11,142 for the project.
That's too simple. But yeah, add that, please.
All right, I'll support it now.
Motion by trustee Sakura, support by trustee Ford. This is a resolution
And a roll call.
and a roll call vote.
Trustee Ford.
Yes.
Trustee Chapman.
Yes.
Trustee Sikora.
Yes.
Trustee Cole is absent. Treasurer Bushka.
Yes.
I vote yes, and Supervisor Bell.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted 6-0 with Cole absent.
And next, we move into item number 11, closed session.
That requires only a simple motion because the request to go into closed session is at the request of the employee, myself.
I make a motion that we enter closed session.
Support.
I have a motion by Clerk Farmer and support, I believe, by Treasurer Bushka to enter into closed session at the request of employee Attorney Porter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 6-0 with one absent. We are in closed session.
Okay. This closed session. You vote. I'm telling you, Sherry, I
I have a cough.
You got it.
I have a cough.
We do
I
have a
have a
doctor in the
motion
room.
by Clerk Farmer and support by Trustee Sikora
Yep.
to come out of closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 6-0 with one absent. That takes us to item number 12, public comment. I see no one in the gallery on Zoom. Michael, would your children like to?
I will not open it up to
You know
my
what?
children.
Someday we should do that and teach them. Like, that would be an activity we could do.
We might.
Seeing no one here in the public, I will close public comment. That gets us to item number 13, board member comments and committee updates. And with that, I will start with Trustee Chapman.
Thank you. So I know it was mentioned earlier, but a incredible shout out to our fire department. I had friends over there and they called me like, what are your guys doing over here? And so it's incredible to know that we have that capability. And, you know, our fire department is a very good fire department and they're without question. And we all knew they would be. And we all knew they would go anywhere for anybody. So just shout out to them. You know, they went above and beyond, and it was appreciated by the citizens there, and I greatly appreciate it as well.
Thank you, Trustee Chapman. Trustee Ford?
Thank you. I was just conferring with Anna for reminders of what it is that I've been working on at the Planning Commission. Thank you, Anna. So there'll be some stuff coming before us. Proposed amendments to the industrial, what's that, IR district. What else was there? There was my mind is going blank.
Some
Oh, yeah,
parking-
and we've got the parking and
parking
setback
issues.
changes. That was a gym special there, so we don't take so much property from folks with the primary roads on both sides. Some decent stuff, and it looks like Jody's starting to get her feet underneath her, which is gonna be fantastic.
Yes.
So, I'll continue to bring updates, hopefully better ones.
Thank you, Trustee Ford. Trustee Sikora?
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Trustee Chapman said about the fire department. I was working the election over in Precinct 2, happened to be at the fire station, fortunately. But yeah, they continued to check in with us and make sure that we knew what was going on. And when the time came, told us, you know, that it was time to go to the shelter and everything. So, and then followed up with us and made sure we had water, and we brought snacks, of course, but made sure we had water and everything for us. So, great job. Thankful that they're there, and thankful that they were watching us and taking care of us and making sure everything was okay. Friends of the Parks, Music in the Park series is going to start at Fletcher Field. We're just 1 month away. Hopefully you received a mailing. If you didn't, you didn't get one, just coming, it's just regular residential customers, so I suppose they could be delivered at any time, but with a listing of them. But those are fast approaching, looking forward to really being summertime. Just a reminder that this Sunday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Drake Farmstead Park, the Historical Society is having their 20th anniversary. We're also going to have the Carriage Barn Kitchenette grand opening and donor recognition. The Parks Department, as you know, Parks Director, the Maintenance Director, also the OHS volunteers have been cleaning up the place, doing a lot of work. Also, we have volunteers helping out Friends of the Parks that have been, you know, trimming areas and cutting back brush and things like that. So the place is looking very nice. I drove through there. Yes, today's Tuesday, it must have been yesterday, or whatever, looking at it. Friday, I went through Friday, because I ran into the maintenance director on Friday. He was there mowing the lawn. But yeah, looking very nice. Hopefully everybody can come out and take a look at that and get a tour of the house. I guess at this point, that's all I have, so looking forward to seeing everyone next time. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Sikora. Yeah, parks activities are really getting ready to get busy this summer, so got some good stuff planned. Treasurer Bushka.
For the first time in a while, I have no comment. Thank you.
Wow.
I know, right?
Clerk Farmer?
I haven't been sitting here thinking of ways to spend money, but I have a little bit. And on Tuesday, we had a very small election, and I was grateful for that. And I'm really grateful that Portage had no election that day. Because what you find out is
Oh, my
how
gosh. vulnerable
vulnerable that you feel in the middle of this situation that you have no control over. And you have to be able to think on your feet. Luckily, we didn't have to think too hard. We only had one precinct, and we had our absentee counting board here. And I want to say thank you very much to Attorney Porter and former Chief Mark Barnes, because they actually assisted in taking chairs downstairs for our election workers who had to be down there for about 40 minutes in a cramped basement that's full of crap, that's quite frankly not prepared to have people come into it for an emergency situation. And so I have shared my thoughts on that with our public, or not Public Works, sorry, Anna, Human Resources Director, Sarah Feaster, so that she can share it with the Safety Committee. And I've given some recommendations for some emergency kits that I would like to have in place there, and that I also intend on purchasing for each of our precincts. Some of those can stay in those precincts, but for the facilities we do not own, they will have to be transported there each time. Because there are a lot of wishes that come into your mind when you get a text from the county that says, lock everything up, get somewhere safe. Now, what the county didn't know is at that point, all of our people already were safe. We had already moved on that and had to make some decisions. I spoke with Neil right away and let him know, lock the tabulator, take the ballots with you, and take the laptop. And I told him to leave the facility open, so that if somebody is seeking shelter in this very scary situation, they won't get to the fire station and be locked out. And as a matter of fact, I thought he would share the rest of that anecdote, which is that they came out from sheltering and there was someone standing there waiting to vote. So as he and I said that day, democracy will find a way. On top of that, this idea of the snacks that they shared, and that was thanks to Dakota Barnes, I believe. She'd taken some extra snacks that day, and they all shared them. And you will see a request. I'm going to talk further with Attorney Porter about this, but I did get an opinion from our accountants at Siegfried Crandall about lawful expenditures with regard to food. And since we require our election workers to stay in place all day, emergency or not, both here with our absentee county boards and in our precincts, I'm going to ask for a budget to provide snacks for them throughout the day for every single election. They can provide their own meals, but I think the least we could do is provide, well, it's not the least we could do, but I think we should do it anyways, to provide some snacks for them to have throughout the day or in case of an emergency situation. So look forward to that. All right, so on election day, while including both absentee and in precinct voters, of which there were more than we expected, we did have, of the 2,852 voters in precinct 2, we had votes from 618 of them, which is just about 22%, which isn't too bad for a May election. And I will say the 22% turnout, yet again, females, they went ahead and they turned out at 23%. So I'm just going to give you cool facts about female voters every election. It was a really good sort of practice election for August and November. It's nice to have smaller elections in between that aren't too overwhelming to both election workers and to staff. And this was the first election where my staff fell under the newly approved policy from this board in the handbook that they are paid overtime after 8 hours, and they certainly do appreciate that. And I don't have any other updates right now.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be a busy year for you, clerk. From the supervisor's office, a few things I'd like this board and the public to know. Regarding our fire department, you may have seen online that we discovered that through some historical documents that were given to the township, that we celebrated our 80th anniversary of Oshtemo Fire Department this year. And I'm working with the chief and the human resources director to invite our fire department to be recognized by the board on May 28th in honor of their 80th anniversary. From the human resources department and related to the firefighter, we made 4 offers to the 4 new firefighters, and 1 withdrew from candidacy, not because of Oshtemo, but for other decisions, and not to take another job. And so we've got 3 new firefighters, and then I think the chief is going to reset the clock and perhaps go through the process again to fill that last position. The HR department is well underway with the compensation review, so all of the department heads were interviewed by the consultant Siegel, and so that project is underway. Looking forward to, I have been told, I asked during the meeting, that we will have that compensation information in time for budgeting. That's going to be very important when we make decisions about compensation, et cetera. Excuse me. Maintenance department. Greg is at home, and I hope he's resting, but I just want to give a shout out to our maintenance director, Greg Fountain. Unfortunately, we had somebody transition out of maintenance department and take another job within the township. Definitely a great staff person, glad to keep that, but that has left him almost a one-man solo operation doing the maintenance for the township. During a time when we are getting our roof replaced, we're getting a new generator this week, tomorrow, it's been raining like crazy. So if you see our maintenance director, Greg Fountain, give him a major high five. I had a chance to really have a good chat with him yesterday, and even though he is under immense pressure, his attitude was very positive, and he's always, we're going to get through this, and it's appreciated. One place where this body can be helpful specifically, if you'd like to volunteer at Genesee Prairie Cemetery on Saturday, March 18th from 10 a.m. to noon. He is looking for help to place the flags for Memorial Day. So that will be one place where you could volunteer a couple hours and help Greg out. Did I say March again? May. I am mentally denying that we are already in May, I think is what's happening.
Did he tell you which days he's doing the other cemeteries?
That is the only date I have at this moment. May 18th, 10 a.m. to noon, Genesee Prairie. Let's see, I have some updates from our planning director, Jody Staforia. I think maybe not May 28th, because I feel like that agenda is already starting to get filled up, but I'm going to invite Jody to a board meeting soon and give us a comprehensive master plan update. She is really taking the reins on the projects out of planning, and just really glad to have her with us here at the township. She did provide this to me to share with you. Don't forget, June 13th, we have a comprehensive plan visioning session. There's flyers up front. We really encourage you to participate in that. We need resident participation in order to build that plan. The Thought Leader Committee is meeting tomorrow at Fire Station 2 because this will be getting a new generator, and so in order for them to have power, they will be meeting at Fire Station 2. But actually, I forget what a great meeting room Fire Station 2 has. Maybe we should take this on a road show and do a board meeting at the fire station.
It's a lot of noticing.
All right. Let's see, the market analysis, related to the comprehensive master plan, business owners in our community were invited to participate in a market analysis, and those are ongoing. There will be a pop-up event, possibly two. The next one will be for May 22nd, May 22nd, to interact with residents that are specifically renters in our community to take some feedback, since we know that's a large audience we have in the township. I do want to, Jim, is there anything legal wants to update?
The only thing that I would note for the public is we will be in front of the Court of Appeals tomorrow on the challenge to our clerk's refusal to recognize improper petitions, and therefore I would expect within a matter of weeks that we will get a decision from the Court of Appeals defending the position that's already been determined to be appropriate twice by the circuit court, and then we will move ahead with sewer projects in the township.
Can you remind the board what will happen if the decision is in favor of the not us?
Plaintiffs?
Yeah, I know. I wasn't sure if they were called the plaintiffs, and I almost said residents, and anyway, well, now I've said them both, so, of the plaintiffs.
If, for some strange reason, they were to prevail at the Court of Appeals, we would move immediately to this Michigan Supreme Court. I mean, the issue upon which they appealed has been decided. It is res judicata. I give them respect that they were at least willing to try to think outside the box in their appeal. However, one, it was never raised at circuit court level, which makes it inappropriate to come to the Court of Appeals with that approach. And number two, it's an issue that was in fact raised by their predecessor, Mr. Graham, and therefore it's an exercise in futility. If for some reason they want to try to go to the Supreme Court, they will have to request leave. So I do not anticipate.
Can you explain what that means?
They would actually have to request permission, I guess it's the easiest way to say it, and they would have to present a argument basically to the Supreme Court that showed why the Court of Appeals erred in its decision. And again, I expect this to be a relatively quick decision. If that opinion has not already been drafted, I would be very surprised, and I would expect it to be issued shortly.
Their ability to appeal by petitioning to the Supreme Court, would that in any way impact our ability to move forward? Assuming we get the ruling that we expect, they want to try to go further with an appeal, we're not going to be stuck like we are here in the appeals court where we couldn't continue the project while we were waiting to.
Because that appeal was an appeal of right, that did block us. Because this would have to be by leave, I don't anticipate that's going to slow us down one bit.
Okay.
But that would be up to the USDA, right?
The USDA, again.
Let's see what happens after tomorrow.
I think our bond council will be ready to move forward.
Okay. Thank you.
If bond council signs off, I think USDA.
Yeah, we can go,
Yep.
yeah. Anna, I have your updates here. Do you want to present them from Public Works?
To be honest, I don't remember them, so if you could do it, I would appreciate it.
You know what?
Down here, we can't remember things.
That's okay. Let's see. The DDA, Downtown Development Authority, and the South Drake Corridor Improvement Authority, I have the SODA, will have a joint open house on May 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Oshtemo Community Center. And at that time, we will be presenting the Atlantic Avenue Extension Concept Plan, so that's really exciting. Regarding sewer, we just heard from Jim on the status of the, that litigation. The 7th Street and West Main project encountered water table, was anticipated based on soil borings, doggone it. Will start dewatering week of 5/13. Anticipate 7th Street open to traffic mid-June and paved mid-July. Will switch to south side on West Main after 7th Street between Library and 8th Street.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Couple other, just, I want this board to be prepared on June 11th. Clerk Farmer will be doing a how to read the budget presentation in anticipation for our budgeting process, so giving us some education about how the budget is constructed when we present those paper blue line copies to you, what you're actually seeing on paper. And June 12th, we will start reviewing and having our department heads present for their objectives, accomplishments, and goals, AGVs. Vision, vision goals, yeah. And then, on a last note, we've had very positive feedback from residents, not a ton, but the feedback's been positive about the change to the trash day that's available through, you guys are.
Trash services through
Thank you.
waste not recycled.
You're spreading your disease down here.
I used the service, A+.
And then, we did have one resident that called in with some feedback that actually, was good. We need to make sure that our info sheet is accurate. So we'll be taking a look at that and just making sure that residents, when they arrive to utilize that service at Mulder's, that it's going as expected. So,
I will comment, I showed up on a day that it was actually Alamo's trash day there, so they were kind of doing like what we used to do here. And so I was going through the line, and I ended up talking to a couple board members or employees from Cooper, showed them our little handy-dandy coupons, and they thought our program was awesome. Big fans of the embossed township seal, as am I.
That's good. That's good feedback.
Did I say Alamo? I'm sorry, it was Cooper.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Cooper. Now it was over there.
All right, with that, I just want to remind this body that we've got a lot of work coming up ahead of us in the next few months around budget, and things will get serious. So, with that statement, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Here are some handouts from the